Have you ever felt like you are walking through the world with no skin? Like you are picking up on invisible frequencies that everyone else seems deaf to? You notice the micro change in a friend's tone, the heavy, static electricity of attention that no one mentions, or the overwhelming texture of a room the moment you walk in. For most of your life, you have probably been told that you are too much, that you are neurotic, that you overthink, or that you invent problems where there are none. You replay conversations in your head, wondering if you are broken, trying to numb yourself just to function in a world that feels abrasive. But what if I told you that you aren't imagining things? What the world calls anxiety or overthinking is often a biological trait of high-resolution perception. You aren't broken, you are simply tuned into a frequency that the rest of the world is too numb to hear. The fundamental misunderstanding about your life is that people think you are making a choice to be this way. They tell you to just relax or stop caring so much, as if you could simply flip a switch and turn off your perception. But this isn't a software issue, it is hardware. In psychology, this is often referred to as sensory processing sensitivity. Think of the human nervous system as a filter. For the vast majority of the population, this filter is thick and robust. It successfully blocks out about 80% of the sensory data in any given environment. The background noise, the flickering lights, the subtle emotional shifts of strangers. This filtration allows them to move through life on autopilot, unbothered and efficient. You, however, do not have this filter, or rather yours is porous. You are not just looking at the world, you are absorbing it. You are scanning it. Your nervous system processes reality in 4K resolution while everyone else is watching it in 480p. When you feel exhausted after a short social interaction, it isn't because you are weak. It is because while they were just having a conversation, you were processing the tone of voice, the body language, the unspoken grievances, and the sensory input of the environment all at once. You aren't defective. You are a high-fidelity receiver in a low-fidelity world. The error lies in the victim mentality, believing that this intensity is a flaw you must correct rather than a biological reality you must manage. There is a very dangerous gaslighting that happens to people like us. It usually sounds like this: you're just being paranoid. But let's dissect the difference between paranoia and perception. The world labels you as complicated or anxious because your reality is inconvenient for them. When you ask someone, "Is everything okay? You seem distant," and they reply with a sharp, "I'm fine," the average person accepts the words. But you don't hear the words, you hear the frequency, you feel the coldness, you notice the lack of eye contact. You aren't thinking too much about the problem, you are perceiving the problem that they are trying to hide. You are noticing the subtext, the shadow, the things left unsaid. This is the burden of the sensitive. You are often the only person in the room who is awake to the emotional reality of the situation. It is crucial that you stop invalidating your own intuition. Just because others cannot see the infrared spectrum doesn't mean the heat isn't there. You aren't inventing the tension, you are simply the only one brave enough, or perhaps unable, to ignore it. You are perceiving the cracks in the facade that others use to maintain their comfort. Do not confuse their blindness with your hallucination. You are seeing the iceberg beneath the water. They are only looking at the tip. How do we distinguish this biological trait from actual anxiety or trauma responses? Because they can look similar, but their roots are different. Anxiety is a loop that starts and ends with fear. It is internal. It whispers, "Everyone hates me," based on your own insecurities. It is a projection of your inner chaos onto the world. High sensitivity, however, is based on data. It is external. It observes, "This person's behavior changed when I mentioned this topic." It is a collection of evidence. The problem arises when you internalize the world's feedback. You start to treat your data-gathering ability as a sickness. You try to medicate away your empathy. You try to drink away your awareness. You try to force yourself to be callous, sarcastic, or shallow because you think that's what normal looks like. But notice the pattern. When you try to suppress your nature, you don't become normal. You become sick. You become depressed because you're trying to amputate a limb of your psyche. The hate or the judgment you feel from others often isn't about you personally. It is about the threat you pose. Authentic, highly perceptive people are terrifying to those who live in denial. Your mere presence, your ability to see through the mask, makes inauthentic people feel exposed. They don't hate you, they hate that they cannot hide from you. Let's look at this through an evolutionary lens. Why would nature design a nervous system that is so easily overwhelmed? Why aren't we all tough, thick-skinned warriors? Because the tribe needed the sentinel. In our evolutionary past, if everyone was sleeping deeply around the fire, the tribe would be eaten by predators. Nature needed a percentage of the population to be light sleepers. It needed individuals who could hear the snapping of a twig 100 yards away, who could smell the change in the wind, who could sense the tension in the group before a fight broke out. You are the descendant of the sentinels. Deep processing is your survival mechanism. Your brain is wired to take a piece of information and run it through a complex web of associations, memories, and potential outcomes. Empathy is not just being nice. It is a sophisticated radar system for social cohesion and threat detection. The modern world, however, is not a forest. It is a barrage of neon lights, constant notifications, and artificial noise. Your Sentinel hardware is picking up threats everywhere, not tigers, but aggressive emails, news cycles of disaster, and the emotional dysregulation of strangers. You are a biological instrument designed for subtle detection, currently operating in an industrial rock crusher. The exhaustion you feel is not weakness, it is system overload. Here lies the core friction of your existence, the conflict between the grounded and the unstable, or the conscious and the autopilot. Most people survive modern life by numbing themselves. They engage in what we might call strategic ignorance. They don't want to know how the sausage is made. They don't want to feel the depths of their own dissatisfaction. They drift. You, by design, cannot drift. You are tethered to the present moment by your senses. And this presence is painful. To be fully awake is to be fully aware of the suffering, the transience, and the melancholy of life. This creates a painful contrast. Your intensity irritates people who are trying to stay numb. Your passion highlights their apathy. Your sadness highlights their repressed grief. It is easier for them to label you as dramatic than to admit that they are emotionally dead inside. If you are finding resistance, if you feel like you're always too heavy for the room, consider this. Maybe you aren't heavy. Maybe they are just incredibly light, floating away in a bubble of distraction. The world needs people who are grounded. It needs people who can still cry at a movie, who can still feel the sublime beauty of rain against a window pane, and who can look at a stranger and feel a genuine pang of connection. That is not a weakness. That is the only thing keeping our society human. The real danger isn't the overstimulation, it isn't the noise, it isn't even the loneliness. The real danger is that you will let the world convince you to destroy your gift. The tragedy happens when the sensitive person decides, I will stop feeling, I will become cold, I will play their game. You build a fortress of cynicism. You learn to be sarcastic. You stop showing your heart because you are tired of it being stepped on. But this armor doesn't fit you. It is heavy. It suffocates you. When a sensitive person tries to act insensitive, they don't become strong. They become bitter. They become a shadow of themselves, vibrating with a resentment that eats them alive from the inside out. Do not try to win their approval by diminishing your light. You will never be chill enough for them. You will never be simple enough for them, because that is not who you are. The goal isn't to force the world to understand you. The goal is to build a life that honors your design. Stop apologizing for your depth. Stop trying to fix a nervous system that is working exactly as it should. Instead of thickening your skin, curate your environment. Protect your peace, not by closing your eyes, but by choosing who gets to stand in your line of sight. Your ability to feel everything is a burden. Yes, it is heavy. It is exhausting to carry the weight of the unspoken. But it is also the source of all your magic. It is why you can create, why you can love deeply, why you can experience the world in colors that others cannot even imagine. To be able to say to someone, I see you, the real you, when the rest of the world walks on by, that is a superpower. We are the watchers. We are the listeners. And in a world that is shouting to drown out the void, our silence and our attention are the most valuable things we have. If you are tired of explaining yourself to people who don't speak your language and you want to explore the deeper currents of the human mind with us, consider subscribing. You're not too much, you are just enough.